So this is another area that I'm working on. While I'm building the pond area, which is there, I'll also be tackling this area. Now that's the cow drinker that was sat over in the other bed. And what I've done this morning is I've dug out a channel for it to sit in. So it sits in there like that, as you can see, self-explanatory. And what will happen to this area eventually is that all this grass will go. As deep as that is, that tank, that's how deep the brickwork will go. So I've got to remove all this turf. So there's about 1.5 foot got to come off all the way across. Now, I only envisage one problem, and that is that roughly there's a pipe runs under that, a plastic pipe that comes from the house. And it's the rainwater pipe, and it comes down here, and that's going to be a problem when I get to it, because I've got to somehow get over that and make it look like it's deliberate. So we might have a run of bricks in this area here. It'll run across and it'll drop down and then back across. But this whole area will have all this going on. So that's a cow drinker, and you can pick these things up quite easily if you know where to look, as I do. And I've dug it in, as I've said, and the idea is that you'll be able to sit there where I was just sat a minute ago, and you'll be able to look across here and admire your plants lovingly. and I shall do that a lot. When I sit around, I like to sit and just ponder, and this will be a nice area to do it, because although this is naked at the moment, so to speak, we have got plants growing up it. We have got roses on it and other plants that are going to be put onto it. Probably get another climbing hydrangea on this, because I quite like them, and they will do the job a bit quicker than the roses will. But we'll see. Time will tell. Now, I'm going to fill, what I've done already is I've filled it with the turf that came out. So this turf that's in the bottom of this cow drinker is the turf that I dug out from this area, and I've put it back in. And then I'm going to put that soil in, which I'm going to show you in a minute. We'll put that into there, and then we shall carry on. Let's see how that goes. So now I've filled the cow drinker up with the soil, and I've topped it off with some plant mulch. It's plant mulch compost. That's in there at the moment, plant mulch compost. So that's going to give it the feed it needs, and there will be settlement over time, I've no doubt. Right, let's see if we can walk around the garden and see if we can find some plants that aren't going to be missed in other areas that we can put into here. Now, normally you would wait and let that settle over a couple of weeks, but I've done this many times. So I've trod it in, I've got the air out of it, which is what you should do. You should walk along the top of that surface, compact it down a little bit, and then just tease it back up a little bit to allow the water to go in. So we'll walk around the garden and see what we can find. There's a couple of types of plants that I'm favouring at the moment. So I'm up in the shady border, and we've got asters all over the place. So it wouldn't miss one or two asters from out of this border. And I've also got a couple of ferns here. Now that one's Aphrium Ghost, and that one's Dre's Dagger. And they've not been doing too well under it, although they're in the shade. It's on slightly the dry side that they'd prefer. So I'm going to see whether I can get these up in a wanna and probably transplant those ones and take them down. It wouldn't hurt to put some asters in there, to be honest, because that would give it an altogether different look. And I've got plenty of asters. We've got some slug damage on here, but we're late in the season now, so I'm not going to worry about that. So let's see what I put in. So I've now made my decision. I've lifted them from other parts of the garden. I've got quite a big garden, remember, and a lot of plants. And I've decided we're going to go with these two ferns. This one here is, as I said a minute ago, this is Aphrium Dre's Dagger. They're both looking a bit sickly because they got a little bit droughted where they were. They weren't quite happy, but they're going to be a lot better in this section here. And then the other one is Aphrium Ghost, which I really do like. It has that silvery ghost look, hence the name Ghost. I've also gone for this hosta, partly because it's quirky, and where it wasn't getting enough attention from myself. It was looking great, but I never saw it. It was just always just sat there in the other cow drinker. But it's looking good, as you can see, and it was in the other cow drinker further up the garden where I rarely water it. So what I've done as well, I've kept the little bits there. That's off of the side of this cow drinker where the water would have come in. And then that bit there is the ball cock, really, which lets the water in and out, and was original to this. So when the water levels dropped, as animals drink from it, this tops it back up, just like in any domestic situation. So I think it's looking good. So that's that phase, and I guess you could call that phase 1. I'm very happy with that, and that was quick and easy, dead easy. You shouldn't be worrying, you shouldn't be stressing, or have any anxieties over creating something like this. It's quick and easy to do. The hardest bit for me was digging out that soil. As I've said, I've still to remove all of this grass down to that level of the seat, and then we're going to be putting in either old bricks or some sort of a tile, which should look good. But that's for the next phase, so we'll leave it at that. Hope that's given you a little bit more inspiration, and don't forget, before we move on, that this is going to be clothed in other plants, so it's going to create a lot of shade over time in here. You're going to be sat inside almost a tunnel effect, which is going to look fantastic. As I said, I've got roses growing up it and other bits and bobs, and we just got to wait for time, really. But this one here is quick and easy, looks great. I'm happy with it, and it's something you can do. So I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of part 1, and I shall do this part 2 as and when I get the time. Okay, ta-ra.